Welcome, crypto fam, to the #1 daily Bitcoin pod. In today's show, I'll be sharing the latest Bitcoin technical analysis, as well as breaking news. MicroStrategy increased its raise to $875 million to buy more Bitcoin and redeem outstanding notes. This is off the back of just acquiring $1.1 billion worth of the biddy. And quoting the high priest of Bitcoin, Max Kaiser, El Salvador is the first country in the world to pull away from the globalists and their centralized banks. Everything you think the U.S. stands for, but no longer does, can be found in President Bukele's El Salvador. We'll also be discussing U.S. government U.S. government sites Caroline Ellison's extraordinary cooperation before sentencing, which is supposed to occur later this month. We'll also be discussing Vitalik Buterin sings at Token 2049. Please say it ain't so. Highlights low layer 2 fees as an Ethereum milestone. We'll also be discussing some pro-crypto Trumpers suggest they lost the vote in Trump after this recent token launch, which occurred this Friday. We'll be breaking down the latest with the Trump coin, as well as very close former Goldman Sachs executive hints at Bitcoin breakout rallies amid rising liquidity, sending the Bitcoin price action to $90,000 per coin. And speaking of bullish price projections, another crypto strategist unveils his big Bitcoin price target for 2025 of $220,000 and predicts the US dollar collapse along the way. Bye-bye dollar. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more, in today's show. Let's kick it off without further ado. If you're new to the channel, important to smash the likes and go ahead and subscribe. It's free to do so. Half the people that watch the channel are not subscribed. What's going on? Then hit the bell icon, turn on all notifications. Today is pod episode 1761. I'm your host, JV. It's September 18th, 2024. Market is correcting a bit today after a nice pump yesterday of over 3,000. Today we're down 1,500, but maintaining above $59,500 at the time of this live stream. And checking out our market watch, let's pull up Coin 360. You can see the majority of the market correcting and in the red. Bitcoin down roughly 3%, Ether down 3.5%. Everything virtually in the red. And checking out coinmarketcap.com, the current crypto market cap sits still above 2 trillion. We're at 2.05 trillion. Bitcoin market cap is at $1.17 trillion. We got roughly 67 billion worth of volume for the past 24 hours. And the Bitcoin dominance says 57.3%, Ether dominance all the way down to 13.5%. I believe Ethereum is at like a 44-month low against Bitcoin. I'll let that sink in. And checking out the SOT 100 crypto gainers past 24-hour, very modest gains as virtually nothing is in the green, but we do have CKB up 5%, BNX up 4%, and SU up 1%. But as you can see, virtually everything correcting in the red. And checking out the crypto bubbles, we get a visual perspective on the day. Yesterday, everything was in the green. Today, we flip literally 95% of the market in the red. And zooming out on the monthly, we get a broader perspective. I'd say maybe 65-35 in the green. And checking out the crypto greed and fear index today, we're 45 fear. Yesterday 33, last week at 37, and last month at 28 in fear. And checking out the time chain calendar, which is the original term. Instead of blockchain, it was actually the time chain, according to Satoshi. Let's see if this updates. We're currently on block height number 861,866, 188,134 blocks to go into the next halving, which will more than likely take place in April of 2028. TikTok next block virtually every 10 minutes. You can currently trade $1 for 1,679 Satoshis. So let me ask you the question, would you rather have $1 or 1,679 Satoshis? Let me know in the chat, family. Let's kick it off with our Bitcoin technical analysis. We'll also pull up some of the live charts. Welcome everyone just joining the stream. Lots to cover here today. Headline reads, Bitcoin price going to see 64,000 very quickly on the Fed rate cut. We got Jay Powell speaking in roughly 2 hours, family. So let me know if you think we'll hit 64,000 here soon. Now, Capriole founder Charles Edwards would not be surprised at that 64,000 level. Bitcoin stands to benefit exponentially from the macroeconomic shifts in Q4, right around the corner, 2 weeks to go, family. Itself, the market's best quarter historically. That's a fact. And while barely moving in the past month, Bitcoin is now primed to resume its classic bull market moves should the Fed drop the interest rates at its September 18th meeting, which again is in 2 hours. Jay Powell's supposed to speak, I believe, at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Quoting them here from the report, this marks the start of the new dovish Fed policy regime, the first significant change since late 2021, when the Fed notified of their hawkish regime shift, and which saw rates rise from 0 to 5.5% in 18 months. This hawkish regime also coincided with Bitcoin's collapse from 60,000 down to 15 Gs, 15, 30, 45, 4x difference. Wow, right? We are now at the start of the exact opposite regime, and bearing any bearish surprises from the Fed, Bitcoin has 64,000 in sight, locked and loaded, having preserved weekly support as shown on the charts. We're going to be pulling up the live charts here shortly. Quoting them again here, while ugly and still in a trend of lower highs and lower lows, weekly support is responding well at 58,000 today. A weekly close above 64,000 would end the 7-month sequence of lower highs and likely see us travel back in the range of 70 Gs with haste and probably beyond. And current all-time high is 73.8, so that's the number we need to reach to re-enter price discovery. Nonetheless, the technicals picture is mixed at best and bearish at worst, until the range and monthly resistance of 60,000 is reclaimed, which we're only a few hundred shy of here this morning. Now, based on the current response to the weekly 58,000 level and given the major Fed event here now in 2 hours, I would not be surprised to see that level taken very quickly to the upside, provided no bearish surprises from Jay Powell. So we'll soon find out. Now, another report from on-chain data shows concerns over shifting Bitcoin supply trends, arguing a new phenomena such as the U.S. spot Bitcoin ETFs have skewed perspectives. Quoting them here, this is again Charles Edwards. 2024 has seen massive capital redistribution as a result of the ETF launch in Mt. Gox. The ETF launch was officially January 11th. I believe BlackRock's already done over 20 billion in volume. This capital movement has mischaracterized many on-chain metrics and told us a false narrative. And going further still, the findings suggest this data covering supply ownership by time spent dormant metrics, which give rise to the popular long-term hodler and short-term hodler cohorts, are unreliable in 2024. Quoting them here. In short, the last 6 months has seen on-chain metrics be massively manipulated by huge supply reclassification, which on net did not see any significant organic long-term hodler selling. This resulted in many on-chain metrics seeing extremely bearish readings comparable to the prior cycle tops, as discussed 2 months ago in update number 52. This means that any on-chain metrics with long-term hodler data or supply last active more than XX months/years cannot be trusted this year in 2024. Yet these classifications form the basis of a significant portion of valuable on-chain metrics, as outlined here. Edwards sees a bullish midterm picture for the King crypto, quoting him again, with Bitcoin trading within 2% of our last update. Our view from issue 53 is that we are at a major pivot point, which remains. He's referencing the time around the Fed policy easing, Q4 traditionally when Bitcoin puts in the best performance, with Bitcoin also due to end its standard post-halving consolidation period, quoting him again. What lies ahead? Seasonally, we have the best 2 quarters just 2 weeks ahead of us, which are also within the best 12 to 18 month window to be allocated to Bitcoin every 4 years. And at the start of the dovish Fed multi-year regime, which will see growing liquidity injected into risk assets. We also have gold paving consistent new all-time highs. I believe it hit 2,600 the other day. New all-time high, that's right. You couldn't ask for more favorable conditions for the King crypto. And I mean, here's history, the tail of the tape. Average fourth quarter, 88%, right? Medium, 56%. So we're going to have a bullish fourth quarter. You already know. And some breaking news, MicroStrategy did announce purchasing like 700 more million worth of Bitcoin the other day. Well, they already increased it to 875 million to buy more Bitcoin to redeem outstanding notes. And keep in mind, they just purchased 1.1 billion. So he's continuing to stack stats like there's no tomorrow. Shout out to the Giga Chad. And Max Kaiser, in response to Nayib Bukele's post the other day, financial independence announcement on Independence Day. And Max responded, El Salvador is the first country in the world to pull away from the globalists and the centralized banks. Everything you think the United States stands for but no longer does can be found in President Nayib Bukele's El Salvador. Preach. And shout out Max Kaiser and the beautiful people of El Salvador. And let's pull up some of the live charts. You should be able to see here on your screen. Bitcoin currently sitting just above 59,600 via Coinbase, via TradingView is what we're looking at right now. We do have a rising wedge formation breakout. We do have a bullish target sitting just shy of 64,000. We also have a bearish target sitting at 51,600. This is according to the 1 hour chart. And again, this is live and in the flesh. Let's check out the 4 hour chart via Coinbase, via TradingView. And as you can see here, a lot of targets, a lot of things going on. We have a $82,000 bullish target, and we do have a bearish target of 51.6, and we have a super bearish target sitting all the way down at 32,800. Good Lord. Let me know if you feel the bottom is in. And from there, let's check out the 1 day chart. Pretty bullish overall. We do have a big blue target sitting at 82,000, and we have a big bearish blue target sitting all the way down in the $33,000 range. And you can see we do have a formation. We had a nice pumpage yesterday, rising over 3,000, but today has been a consolidation thus far. And zooming out, we'll check out the 1 week, which still has that sexy cup and handle pattern sitting at just, I think, 128-ish. Oh, it went back down. Today it's 124.5, but I'll take it. That's my Q4 target for this year. Let me know if you agree, disagree. Do you think we can hit that cup and handle between October and December? And zooming out a little further, we'll get a broader perspective on the 1 month. Again, live and in the flesh. Welcome everyone just joining us. It's been boring, sideways trading action. I mean, beginning of the year, we were pumping. Last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months has been pretty sideways. Let me know if you feel we'll close bullish for this month of September. We have less than 2 weeks to go. And yeah, we'll go from there. So let me know your thoughts, family. But let's continue with the news, yo. Our next story of the day. Here's the latest with Caroline Ellison. What was it? Alameda Research CEO. Bankman-Fried's ex-girlfriend, the one with the grippy from Mississippi, if you know what I'm saying. Headline reads, U.S. government cites Caroline Ellison's extraordinary cooperation before sentencing. Extraordinary, eh? Come on now. Former Alameda Research CEO Caroline Ellison set to face a sentence hearing. Wow, next week, September 24th. Let's go. She may receive a lenient sentence after a recommendation from the U.S. prosecutors. In a September 17th filing in the U.S. District Court of the Southern District in New York, U.S. attorneys wrote to Judge Kaplan to inform him of Ellison's extraordinary cause. I've never heard prosecutors put in a good word for the defendant, ever. In the prosecution of former FTX CEO Bankman-Fried, as well as her assistants into the wrongdoing at Alameda Research and FTX, according to prosecutors, she provided credible and compelling testimony against Bankman-Fried at trial and was forthcoming. Typically, they say the opposite. So it's just ironic. She's obviously well connected, her and her family, about her grave misconduct. Now, Ellison played a core role in Bankman-Fried's criminal schemes. But as the government noted in Bankman-Fried's sentencing submission, only he was involved in all aspects of the schemes, said the filing. Ellison never worked at FTX and played no role in designing and coding systems that granted Alameda special treatment on FTX and permitted Alameda to accrue a negative balance on FTX by withdrawing FTX customer funds. Now, prosecutors seem to focus much of the blame for the crimes in the indictment on Bankman-Fried, but acknowledge Ellison willingly participated in misconduct as Alameda CEO. And according to prosecutors, at SBF's discretion, Ellison and others borrowed billions of dollars in FTX user funds to pay Alameda lenders. Now, cooperating after the FTX collapse, November of 2022, Ellison began cooperating with U.S. government officials December 8th, pleading guilty to 7 counts of wire fraud, commodities fraud, securities fraud, and money laundering. She testified at Bankman-Fried's trial October 2023 that she had created fraudulent balance sheets, fraud, to cover up Alameda's borrowing $10 billion from FTX. Sounds guilty to me. She admitted it. And although it was not her responsibility to interface directly with the FTX customers, she played a limited role in a conspiracy to defraud FTX investors. How many of you were impacted by that fraud? Let me know. Including by agreeing to hide info from FTX auditors. More fraud, said the September 17th filing. It's all fraud. They get a percentage of the fraud. This is the business model, quoting the great Max Kaiser. Bankman-Fried was convicted on all 7 felony counts in a March 2024 hearing. Judge Kaplan sentenced him to 25 years in prison. September 13th, his lawyers filed an appeal more recently of the conviction and sentence. And since appearing in court for her testimony, and if you don't know, anything can be appealed. And nothing is really final in a court of law until it's at the Supreme Court level. You know what I mean? So they're taking advantage of that. Ellison's whereabouts and activities have been largely unknown to the general public. On September 10th, after months of little movement in her criminal case, her lawyers requested time served and 3 years supervised release. So interesting. Little movement. Her lawyers requested time served. It doesn't say how much time. She's scheduled to appear in court on September 24th for her sentencing. Again, next week. Quoting them here, Ellison's testimony was critical to indict and convict Bankman-Fried and to understanding both the timeline of the fraud schemes and the various layers of wrongdoing. In short, the what and how of the crimes as well as the why would have been difficult to prove without Ellison's testimony. And at the very least, the government's evidence on these points would have been incomplete. So it sounds like she was a cooperative rat, as we call it on the streets, right? And according to the U.S. prosecutors, she ratted on her ex-boyfriend. Hilarious. Ellison also provided valuable assistance in civil cases brought by the SEC, the SEC. The two regulators filed lawsuits against Bankman-Fried, but agreed to defer the case to the conclusion of his criminal trial. Now, will she get prison time? Given the similar filings from Ellison's lawyers and prosecutors citing the cooperation, it's unclear whether Judge Kaplan will sentence her to prison time. So it sounds like she's going to get probation from the gist of what I'm reading here. The filing described the former CEO's earnest remorse for her involvement. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to steal the $10 billion and write fraudulent things. Oops. And being the subject of intense scrutiny by the media, including Bankman-Fried, who released Ellison's online journals to New York Times reporters. Quoting them here, the government cannot think of another cooperating witness in recent history who has received a greater level of attention and harassment. The attendant professional consequences level notoriety are obviously and unlikely to be short-lived. But here's my prediction, family, and you tell me what you guys think in the chat. I think Bankman-Fried's going to end up, if he don't win the appeal, he'll eventually get pardoned by the Biden administration. Why? Because he was the second largest donor to the Democratic Party, and his parents are well connected, obviously. So I think he's going to get out, even though he has 25 years right now. Caroline, more than likely, from the gist of what I just read, sounds like she's not going to get any jail. The prosecutors are already like buttering her up to the judge, and typically that's not something I ever heard prosecutors do. Usually they want to prosecute the hell out of you and keep you in prison as long as possible. So considering what I just found out, I think she just gets some probation, slap on the wrist. Bad girl. You know what I mean? But let me know your thoughts regarding Caroline Ellison, scam Bankman-Fried, and isn't it ironic his last name is Bankman-Fried? They're going to free the Bankman. The world is a play. Or quoting Shakespeare, the world is a stage. Are you not entertained? The Slippy Grippy from Mississippi. You already know. Next story. Let's discuss this man, Vitalik. Headline here reads, Vitalik Buterin sings at token 2049. Highlights low layer 2 fees as Ethereum's milestone. And yes, as we covered in yesterday's pod, Ethereum is at a 44-month low in comparison to Bitcoin. So the ETH/BTC. ETH hasn't been performing so well. Now, check this out. Vitalik Buterin emphasized the significance of the decline in transaction fees within the Ethereum ecosystem before reflecting on some of the most iconic crypto-themed songs from the past. Oh boy. Speaking about the crypto industry evolution, Buterin noted he previously high transaction fees were among the main challenges of the mainstream adoption. However, transaction fees on Ethereum's Layer 2 networks have gone down to basically zero, marking a significant milestone for crypto, according to Buterin, who said during his speech at Token 2049 in Singapore. Quoting him here, from being somewhere between $10.50 to being under a penny, basically zero. At the same time, Optimism and Arbitrum, two major Ethereum Layer 2s, have hit the important security milestone. So rollups are rapidly becoming safer and rollups are finally affordable. And here you go. This was the man of the hour at Token 2049 in Singapore. Now, Ethereum gas fees or transaction fees previously skyrocketed to over $200. I remember those days for high priority transactions during the peak network congestion. I remember trying to send something on the, ERC20 network, $500 to send $10. It was outrageous. That was a few years ago. Layer 2 networks are essential for making the Ethereum mainnet cheaper and more scalable by offloading some of the transactions from the mainnet to the secondary chain. In the past, Buterin said he was forced to pay over $800 in gas fees for a single privacy-preserving transaction. Imagine trying to send $10 to your friend. $800 fee. Crazy, right? Now, beyond the decreasing L2 transaction fees that make crypto more usable for day-to-day transactions, Ethereum's confirmation time also saw a significant improvement. Ethereum's transaction confirmation time saw a significant improvement thanks to the merge, which transitioned Ethereum to a proof-of-stake network in September of 2022. In my opinion, that was the downfall of Ethereum, because ever since that so-called merge has been on the decline in comparison to Bitcoin, as Bitcoin's been clearly outpacing ETH. But Buterin explained here, one of the things that the merge did is it also cut in half the average waiting time until the next block. And so with both of those things, actually these days, I quietly have my transactions confirmed in 5 to 15 seconds. Now, to the delight of crypto enthusiasts, Buterin also took a moment to reflect on some of the most iconic anthems from the past crypto projects, as outlined right here. Interesting, eh? Looking forward, Buterin noted the industry needs to cater to the needs of the mainstream while upholding the ethos of decentralization. What is he referring to? I mean, come on now. Is he pretending Ethereum is decentralized or something? I mean, anyways, Buterin noted we need to strive for both industry practicality while maintaining decentralization. So is that what you call the Ethereum Foundation working with the United States government because it's decentralized? It just don't make any sense. But anyways, he said, we need to satisfy the needs of the mainstream adoption, and we need to hold open source decentralization values at the same time, he said. And finally, Buterin urged industry participants to strive for practical solutions to facilitate the next wave of mass adoption without sacrificing the industry's inherent decentralization. So one of the things I'm aware of is they can turn back the clock on their blockchain, whatever they refer to it on the Ethereum net, and they can reverse transactions. They've done that before. And now that it is no longer proof of work and it's proof of stake, they changed their entire model and protocol. If they can do it once, they can do it again. And also, let's throw out the obvious. Ethereum has a infinite max supply, according to coinmarketcap.com, meaning nobody can tell you the max supply of Ethereum, the same way no one can tell you the max supply of gold, in the same way no one can tell you the max supply of silver, in the same way no one can tell you the max supply of diamonds. Same thing. So kind of crazy. But anyways, welcome everyone joining us. We appreciate y'all's support. Still a lot to cover, so let's continue. Here's the latest with Trump's project from the Trump family that just went live officially 2 days ago, I believe on the 16th, Monday. Here's the headline. Some pro-crypto Trumpers suggest he lost their votes after the token launch. Less than 24 hours after the Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump announced plans to launch a token through his World Liberty Financial Project, many crypto users criticized the move through social media. In August, Trump and his sons, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, began teasing a decentralized finance project through X without many details regarding its purpose. The Republican candidate made headlines September 12th, announcing that he would host an X Spaces discussion about World Liberty Financial on September 18th. And in the lead up to the X Spaces event, some pro-crypto Trump supporters expressed skepticism about the idea. Castle Island Ventures partner Nick Carter reportedly said the project was a huge mistake, claiming his campaign was cashing in on his recent embrace of the crypto in a kind of naive way. The X Spaces event revealed few details about the project besides the leader's plan to launch a WLFI token, which they did not consider a security under the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's purview. Some crypto users took to social media to suggest that Trump had lost their vote by associating him with the project. Quoting them here. This is coming from You Should Relax, or I'm sorry, Mitchell Askew. Trump launching an Ishcoin may have been the final straw to lose my vote. It is one thing for him to be pro-crypto instead of just pro-Bitcoin. Not everyone is a maxi, I get it. But it's another thing to drop a 70% pre-mined token on his followers 7 weeks before the election. This just adds to a growing list of unforced errors from the Trump campaign. Let me know if you agree or disagree with that. Others on X who seem to support the Republican candidate did not explicitly say they wouldn't be voting for him in November, but suggested the timing of the WLFI project was bad and potentially risky. The project's launch came less than a week after many pundits said Democratic presidential candidate and Vice President Harris won a televised debate. I didn't see a single individual who said that Harris won the debate, but I guess to each their own. With Trump tightening what will be an extremely close election. And before the voter who is not a staunchly single issue Bitcoin or more broadly crypto voter, there are so many other issues that I can't say there's a proof of pivot, according to Penn State Dickinson law professor Tanya Evans and the author of Digital Money Demystified. Those who are not single issue voters have to take a second look at the reality. Trump did not speak clearly or well about the logistics of the plan. This was built up as the moment that we get a plan, not concepts of a plan. On single issue crypto voters, Evans added, I don't see it costing Trump any support. I see some jokes. I see that segment of the industry a little more quiet than they were earlier, but I haven't seen any virtue signaling or otherwise that they would make a different decision. I kind of agree with her. I think most people already predetermine who they're going to vote for. I don't think the debate changed anyone's mind, very few. And I don't think the Trump token is forcing people to, vote elsewise, even though I also agree that the token is a bad idea. I don't think Trump needed to associate himself with it, but it is what it is. With 49 days until the U.S. election, many polls showed that Harris was neck and neck with Trump. And I don't agree or believe any of the polls, because I remember, was it the 2016 election versus Clinton? They're like 95% chance Hillary won. Trump doesn't even have a chance. He might as well just drop out now. They all reported the same bullshit. And then what happened? Trump won. So you really don't know who to believe when it comes to these polls. You know what I mean? They can skew the numbers. But anyways, unlike Trump, Vice President Harris has not made a crypto part of her economic platform. And I'll just point out the obvious. Harris and the Democrats are anti-crypto, hence why they put Gary Gensler in power to rain down on crypto and to use their power to overreach and ultimately shake down the industry. Deem everything an unregistered security. They've been doing a fantastic job at. Senator Warren, who else? They're clowns and goons. There's a bunch of them. Referred to them as the Three Stooges. That's what at least Rich Dad Robert Kiyosaki coins them. But let me know your thoughts regarding this. Let's discuss this 90,000 target from analysts, and then we'll discuss a $220,000 target. And then we'll dive into the live Q&A, and we'll have some fun with the uncensored version of the pod as we do each and every day. So yeah, this headline reads, very close. Former Goldman Sachs executive, I believe Raul Pal, hints at Bitcoin breakout rallies amid rising liquidity. Look at that dragon. Do you know it's 2024 year of the dragon? That's right. Macro guru Raul Pal is suggesting Bitcoin is on the verge of having massive breakout rallies due to one main catalyst. He tells his 1 million followers on X, Bitcoin appears to be rising in tandem with increasing global liquidity. Pal shares a chart comparing global liquidity versus the biddy that suggests Bitcoin may reach 90 Gs by November. Let's freaking go. Quoting him here alongside the chart. Close, very close. Total global liquidity versus the BTC. And in this chart, the red is the BTC and the total global liquidity is in the black, suggesting Bitcoin running up to 90 Gs. Now, in addition, Powell says the historical relationship between Bitcoin and the global money supply, the M2 metric, suggests the top digital asset by market cap is gearing up for a massive breakout. Send it. Very close. Global M2 versus the biddy. Now, Real Vision macro expert Julian Battelle is also saying that the macroeconomic conditions are starting to inject more liquidity into the markets, which tend to be bullish for risk-on assets such as Bitcoin. Quoting them here, hang in there, bulls. It's felt like an eternity trapped in the boring zone, but there's finally some light at the end of the tunnel. Liquidity is on the rise again, and Bitcoin, being extremely sensitive to the changes in liquidity conditions, has the potential to move explosively as fresh liquidity flows into the system. The macro environment is shifting. A major liquidity wave is now on the horizon, and when it hits, Bitcoin looks prime for a strong push higher in Q4. Patience is the name of the game. Now, let me know if you agree, disagree with the macro guru. Now for our feature story of the day, fam. Crypto strategist unveils big Bitcoin price target for 2025 of $220,000 per coin and predicts the US dollar collapse along the way. Let's break this baby down and welcome everyone just joining the live stream. Closely followed crypto strategist thinks the biddy is now raring to ignite the next phase of the bull market. I agree. I think fourth quarter we're going to rise. We're talking here about synonymous analyst Calio, who shared on X that Bitcoin is now in a position to launch rallies that will last until the end of 2025. The trader shares an inverse Bitcoin chart suggesting that Bitcoin will hit the trend line of his logarithmic growth curve by next year to soar to his massive price target of around $220,000, as outlined here in the chart. All right, I'm giving in. Be more bullish. Of course. Now, looking at the chart, this is an inverse chart. He seems to suggest Bitcoin tends to witness a steep rally a few months after its halving event when Bitcoin miner rewards are slashed in half. And we officially had the halving on April 19th, close enough to 420. Zooming in, Calio thinks Bitcoin will consolidate for a few more days before sparking surges that take out multiple resistance levels. And again, the current all-time high is 73.8, which we achieved mid-March. So that's where we need to re-enter to get back to price discovery. That's when things get exciting. And in my personal opinion, I think that's when a lot of the retail will join us for this cycle when we hit a new all-time high. So based on this chart, you can see on your screen, the analyst appears to predict Bitcoin will hit new all-time highs by early next month. October, bro. We're only a few weeks out. Let's go. And as for the US dollar currency index, known as the DXY, the trader believes it has already topped out, poised to move to much lower levels at around 72 in 2026. Quoting him here, imagine if the path on this DXY chart I drew 19 months ago continues to play out perfectly. Just imagine. Just imagine. He initially made a call for the DXY collapse in May of 2023. DYX has been following his outlined price path ever since. The DXY is a metric that tracks the value of the US dollar against a basket of major fiat currencies. A plummeting DXY is typically bullish for risk assets such as stocks and crypto, suggesting investors are spending their dollars to accumulate the risk assets. I mean, those who treat fiat as a store of value, what do we call them, folks?
But like most of the people who are buying assets at some point want to sell the assets at a profit.
Oh, and by the way, family, welcome everyone to the stream. This is a Q&A segment. Let me know your thoughts and predictions regarding the $220,000 target. I'm going to read as many of your comments out loud. Got to pay to play, but it's not 100%. You have to put on some risk. Of course, there's always risk. Nice that you own your own home. Thank you, Shortcoin. I am blessed. If I had a good income, I would just DCA. I don't. So I borrow and trade MSTR style. Big target, US dollars devaluing, but won't collapse soon. Overall, there's no longer the fiction section of the bookstore in Cali in its current events. $1 billion Bitcoin sale. I get the paper cup deal. Good. At last, Shrugged is almost nonfiction too. Retail always joins when we hit a new all-time high. That is way the normies think. Exactly. I think they're programmed to be that way.